Great book. I think everybody should get a copy of it. It's called American Conspiracies and Cover-Ups. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
You thirst for some significance of the both dimensional kind. You enter a realm of spirit, of sight and sound and mind. Your radio is a cosmic doorway and your psyche begins to spark. When you tune in to Gary and the Sun and Night Dreams After Dark.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. And thank you.
Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades. Here's your host, Gary Anderson.
And boy, that thunder this time of year, too. You're listening to Gary on Night Dreams Talk Radio. Please check out our website at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com. Now, we have Douglas on here who wrote a book about American conspiracies and cover-ups. We got him on the line. Now, hey, Douglas, getting back to, tax returns. I think, if something isn't kosher there, and I use the word kosher because it doesn't seem right why he has done everything he could. When he first was running for president, said, I have no problem releasing my tax returns. And then all of a sudden, he's done everything not to. Now, going back to his father, there's a bunch of stories about how he got his wealth. One, I don't think Trump ever had the wealth that he claimed at the start that he had. I think he was good at manipulating. And that's nothing wrong with that, because to be successful in a business, you gotta be able to sling it. You have to be good at manipulating other companies to absorb them, and you got to pull people's bluff. Just like if you play poker, and I think he's done that. Now, what's coming out is that depending on his circumstances, they said that sometimes he inflates his value, his net worth, when he needs a big loan. And then, if it's the other way around, he deflates it. I do think, as the people who put him in office, we do need to see the tax return and see that. Now, yes, granted, Trump has done a lot for American people. And if people deny that, then they are the same people that believe the world is flat. He's done a lot, and I'm not saying he hasn't.
So, I see what you're saying. Like, I think he did shady things as a businessman, but so far, I think as a politician, he's doing the right thing for the people. But, if he was so shady when he was a businessman, I think he sort of was, hopefully that won't get into what he does in the White House. I'm hoping it's not. But in many ways, I think Trump is a populist. Like people on the Internet, they're really realizing more and more about the deep state and about fake news. And so I think there is a deep state, and I guess that's a conspiracy theory. There is fake news propaganda. And Trump is telling us that, and I think that's something a populist would do. And when he first came in, he said vaccines can be dangerous. We should do something about that. That's not something your normal politician would do because they're being controlled by the pharmaceutical industry, and they're controlled by the deep state pharmaceutical, banking, oil industry. Then Trump said elections could be rigged. We should look into that. To me, these are the things of a populist who has the people's welfare in mind. As shady as he might have been as a businessman, I think he was. Hopefully that he won't act that way in the White House, and so far I don't think he has.
Well, I don't know. That's the whole point that's going on right now about the impeachment. What happened? Okay, and that if it has happened, he's put it this way: every president that we ever had, if everybody thinks that they were rosy and they were honest, then I guess they're living in a dream world. In today's society, you can't be a president and be honest because that's not how the world works. You have to sometimes tell the people stuff that's maybe not true for other reasons, and we don't know what the reasons are. But simple as that.
Well, this thing with the Ukraine, I think maybe he was technically breaking the law. He was saying, can you look into Biden? If you don't, we might withhold some money. He's not supposed to do that. I have a feeling maybe he didn't realize he wasn't supposed to do that. And the thing is, Bill Clinton did something exactly like he did the same thing. I forget with who, but he did it. And Joe Biden did it. And the Clinton, Hillary Clinton, when she was running with the DNC, they got dirt from Ukraine. So other presidents have done that. So for that reason, since other presidents have done it, and I think the Clintons did worse things, I think Obama might have did worse things. For that reason, I don't think he should be impeached. I'll be honest with you. The only reason why they know they can't impeach him. Okay, it's not going to happen. But they're trying to dirty him before election time. That's what the Democrats, their idea is. They don't care if it comes down to it, they don't care if he gets impeached or not. They're just trying to get enough people to swing Democratic they can bring more Democrats into the lower chamber and then up to the Senate. That is what's going on. A person would have to be a fool not to realize it. I mean, the Democrats want to rule the government. They want their own person in charge. Yeah, and like you say, it seems like child's play. They're acting like children on both sides, And but there's so much every day. You hear something. They're trying to slam Trump, trying to get rid of Trump. I think because he's against the political establishment, and they're worried about that. I think. The deep state, the corporate interests control things, and Trump is not a part of that. He believes in a lot of the conspiracy theories. Like he's always criticizing the Federal Reserve, and that's one thing conspiracy theorists believe is that we shouldn't have a Federal Reserve. Trump all the time he says, how can I control the economy in a good way if the Federal Reserve is doing something else? So in another way, that's another way that his political instincts are right. And I personally think global warming is an exaggeration, and we shouldn't give our sovereignty over to national globalist organizations that's going to protect us from global warming. And I think Trump sees through that too. He sees global warming as exaggeration. I think it is. What do you think about global warming? Oh,
you asked the wrong person. I mean, seriously. I mean, I agree with most of everything you said up to now. I put it this way. I'm going on 68 years. I've been in broadcasting since 1976, doing talk shows. I have done a massive amount of research on global warming. I do think that we got a lot of things going bad for us right now.
Antarctica is one. It is melting, and it is dumping the water into the ocean. That is going to raise the sea level. That's a fact. What I'm really concerned about is that belt of warm water. It comes from the equator to Europe and keeps them from going into a deep freeze. Is going to stall. And right now they said that England, the UK, is going to have this coldest winter, and France than they have had in the last 100 years. If that all of a sudden stops because of Antarctica dumping all this in, that is going to be a major problem. Now, I can't blame all of it on people using hairspray or our cars, because I do think that
there's problems.
Yeah, I think the Earth does this every so often, and it cleanses itself, and I think we're at that point.
But do you think it's such an emergency that we're all going to get killed and die from global warming?
I think by 2040, 2050, we're going to be in deep poop. And the reason why I say that, I operate my show out of Washington State. Some of the biggest bottle companies, like Coca-Cola and Pepsi and a whole bunch of these, been coming over our state and buying water rights like mad in our state. Because they know eventually there's going to be a shortage on water, and they want the control of the water.
Oh, who's buying up the water?
Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and all these people. They're buying as much water rights as they can for artesian water and underground water and whatever. They're just, it's been on our local news. They're just buying it like mad.
Oh, yeah. Well, one conspiracy theory is that, there's this Agenda 21 plan of the United Nations. I talked about this with Jim Mars in my book. He was the most famous conspiracy theory author in the world before he passed away. And according to Agenda 21, we're all going to have to move into United Nations living facilities and stop using cars and air conditioners and anything else that could lead to global warming. Otherwise, we're all going to die from global warming. And to some people, that's just an exaggeration. It seems they're trying to get us to Big Brother by taking away our rights, by scaring us with global warming. I think there might be something to that, because there are scientists who say, we're not in imminent danger, we're all going to die from global warming. There are scientists who say that. I know there are scientists who say that we are. So I think people have to look at both sides, I don't think it's concretely decided yet, really.
Well, we got a lot of things we don't know about our planet. I feel this planet has been rebooted. I'm saying it started over from scratch, even with humanoids, probably 2 or 3 times if you really dig into the history. I think we're here as a short-term, tenant. I think there's a lot of things going on. The magnetic field is shifting. We don't even know what's going to happen when that flips. We have, again, Antarctica. We have the North Pole now. There's a big ice glacier in the North Pole that is huge, about the half the size of the United States, is about ready to bust off. And if that does, they're talking that's going to raise the sea level up 35 feet. Now, where I'm at, I might have beachfront property if stuff like that happens, but what I'm worried about in another 20 years from now is people living like in Florida and the Carolinas. They're not going to have, put it this way, the state will probably pretty much be underwater. And the reason why I say it, I have friends that live right now in Florida, and they tell me when the high tide comes in their little communities, and it only started in the last year or two, all of a sudden the manholes are spraying out water. And that's when the tide comes in, and that is because the water level is is shifting. So it's.
Well, maybe the sea levels will rise some, but I don't know if it's going to kill us all, and we all have to go live in the United Nations facilities, which is
I don't think
UN
that.
21. I mean, I talked to Jim Mars about that, and what was I going to say? Now, I just forgot what I was going to say. All right. Go ahead. What do you want?
I don't think it's going to happen. We might lose a lot of land, on the East Coast and West Coast. Yeah, that might kind of go under in some areas. No, we're not going to, all be covered underwater. And I don't think we're going to be living in FEMA camps. But I do wonder why we do have because I have some friends that are with the CIA. I have some friends that's been with the DOD. I have a friend that's still with the DOD. And when I start asking